Hey everybody, welcome to the News Herald's Detroit Lions NFL Draft 2013 recap. I'm David Comer.
I'm Shane Preston.
And Shane, let's talk Lions. I really think one of the themes I thought for this year's draft was kind of called Martin Mayhew Eats Humble Pie. Because all of a sudden you had, for the first time in my memory, him running a draft where they actually addressed needs. And it wasn't this arrogance of sitting back saying best player available because we're this close and we can afford to just grab whoever we think is awesome that happens to fall to us. Although early on, in fairness, it was called anyone who gets available at any position is probably better than what we have. But within the last couple years, there was that perceived arrogance with the organization that they could just, hey, whatever happens, we adjust our board. And this time around, it's like kind of like they had a plan, like other teams, and they followed through. What's your take?
Well, the funny thing is that they did exactly what you just said. They didn't do the take a receiver or skill position guy in the second round. We're just a piece or two away. So it's really kind of admitting their own flaws. But it's funny when you see how unhappy people still are, regardless of what they do when it comes to a draft. They address needs. Now, were some of them riskier picks than you would like? Yes, but I think that's more or less what the draft allowed. It was a deep draft, but not really a top-heavy one. We'll obviously talk about that when we talk about the fifth pick. But in terms of them actually addressing needs and going after areas where they drastically need to improve if they want to contend, specifically in the NFC North, I'm pretty happy with the mindset, at least, that they took. We'll see if the players work out, but it's nice to see them kind of, mature on draft day.
Right, and obviously defensive end is where they went first with Ziggy Ansah, or Ezekiel if you prefer. But, the way I look at it is with Lawrence Jackson leaving, you had Kyle Van Den Bosch and Cliff Averill, you're still kind of down one end, I think, in the grand scheme of things. But I was happy they did address it with two picks. Obviously, Ezekiel Ansah is really a project, and I think that's something to be a little concerned about, right?
Yes. No, it's definitely something to be concerned about, but it's not going to be one of those where he's hidden away on the bench and we're not going to really know what he's capable of. We're gonna find out if the kid can play. He's going to be starting, I believe, from day one. You're not going to be taken in the top 5 to not start. At least you would think not. One thing that I think their hand was kind of forced. I don't think he was number 1 on their board. I think if any of those 3 tackles were still available, they would have gone the offensive tackle route, which I also wouldn't have hated based on what we've lost. That being said, based on what was there and who was taken in front of us, I don't have a problem at all with the Ansah pick. Is it high risk, high reward? Absolutely. I think anyone else we would have taken at that spot, are they maybe a bit more polished than Ansah? Absolutely. It's hard not to be based on his resume. But do they have as high of a ceiling based off of his skill set? It's hard to say that they do.
Well, basically, you've got a situation where you could have had Dee Milner, and you could have had, I'm forgetting his name, the Florida State offensive tackle at the top of the second round. You could have gone DB.
Melnick?
Yep. So you could have had Melnick, and you could have had Milner. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. I thought Dee Milner had the least risk potential. I thought he would have been the safest pick. But obviously, Darius Slay, it was nice to see a cornerback get drafted moderately high.
A fast one at that. I love his speed.
And gotta love the size, 6 feet tall from Mississippi State. I had absolutely zero problems with this pick until I found out he had a meniscus tear.
Right.
Is that a deal breaker for you?
It's not a deal breaker, but it's just a typical type of thing. I mean, this isn't me saying same old Lions or complaining from that standpoint, but it's a guy that I like, but of course there's got to be an injury concern. I'm just hoping it doesn't end up being an issue. I do like the pick because I like him as a player. And I did like them going with Slay over Melnick for the simple fact that Melnick doesn't really have that long of a resume either. If I'm correct, what was he, former basketball player from England or something like that? I believe his only experience is at right tackle. So if you're not playing left tackle on the college level, what makes you think that you can play that on the pro level? So I like the Slay pick. I'm just hoping that the injury does not end up being a concern long term.
Right. Now, moving on to round 3, Larry Warford from Kentucky, the gigantic offensive guard.
Huge.
I thought that was just one of their best picks.
Absolutely.
I loved it, and I think this is a guy you need to plug and play right off the bat. And it really kind of addresses a need. Once again, it seems like that's the theme of this whole draft. But Larry Warford, I think, quality.
Love the pick. Love the size that he has. With Peterman gone, while no one was really a big fan of him and his automatic 3 false starts per game or holdings per game, that is still a spot that we needed to fill. Again, love his size, and like you said, a plug and play. When's the last time you could say that about a third-round pick that the Lions have made? They've had some bad ones in recent years, and it's nice to see a guy who I feel has a lot of upside and was probably their best value pick that they had throughout the draft based on where they got him.
Well, one thing about Warford, which is different from it seems like the rest of the theme of the entire draft, although they were addressing needs, so many of these guys, on one hand you can say upside or potential, but that also means they just haven't proven all of it yet. And that's one thing that's a little bit of concern is basically, even though they address needs, so many of these guys, whether it be Ansah in round 1, Slay in round 2, who really doesn't have a lot of college experience at the D1 level, having been a JC transfer and starting only a season and maybe a half at Mississippi State. Also, Devin Taylor in round 4. You have a defensive end who doesn't have a lot of time in there and is more of a, he did start a lot, but the problem is, though, he's so undeveloped.
Yes.
And that's another thing where basically got to coach him up. It's seeming, 6'6" or whatever. And
great length. 6'6", 6'7",
right.
Great length, great athlete, just
triple jumper.
Exactly, just very raw in the
ridiculous.
position. That being said, if they are going to take chances on people, now they've been burned on stuff with this in the past. Francis comes to mind. Do it at a position of need, though, because if they happen to hit with the athletes that they just drafted at D end, I love Taylor's size. Ansah has a lot of upside, I feel, as well. It is kind of funny, though, that their third-round pick seems to have the least amount of question marks. And it is strange, if you think about how talented I think he could be, that he was a third-round pick. Granted, guards generally don't go that high in the draft, so I think that had a lot to do with it. Their first 4 picks, to be honest with you, outside of the fact that, again, a lot of the people in this draft were unproven players, but great athletes. I'm happy with who they took and where they took them.
And again, following that theme, if you want to just skip ahead a little, Fuller, the wide receiver of Virginia Tech, once again, more of a track guy. And again, you just got to hope that they coach him up. And if they swing and miss, it's because they don't have a big enough resume. But let's talk round 5. There's a story the NFL Network had. Denard Robinson from Michigan had been in contact with the Lions brass. They said, you're our pick. And got 2 more teams to wait through.
Which may have since denied, but
right. I think that, and then what ends up happening? They miss out on Denard Robinson, who goes to Jacksonville. The Lions, in a completely fallback defensive position, in my opinion, end up trading down, only to get a punter. Really, a punter? Why? Sam Martin, and of course Appalachian State, as if they have to rub our noses.
Exactly. We were going to take a Michigan guy, so instead we're taking a kid from App State.
I know. And of all the damn teams, Appalachian State. So, again, a punter in round 5. And it was funny, there was a message on M Live that someone had written, we're trading down to round 5. I guess we've got all the players we need. And this move, to me, reeks of desperation, where they really didn't know what to do once Denard was off the board. I could be wrong, but...
Well, there's no way that they were planning heading into the 5th round that we're going to trade this pick to move back and get a punter. So, it makes you think that they didn't really have a plan B. I don't doubt for a second they were going for Denard. I wouldn't have hated the pick either. 5th round, I feel, is a safe spot to take him. Generally, what do we really get in the 5th round that pans out anyways? Or if you're going to take a flyer, then it's the time to do it.
If history's taught us anything, the third day of the draft is very disposable for Lion fans because none of these guys will be on the field.
Right,
usually.
Much. Do we need a punter? I'm not going to dress up this pick.
We have Kickalicious, dude.
Yeah.
Come on. But anyways, moving on. Again, they address the offensive side of the ball. We talked about Fuller a little. Then we have, I don't know if Berman's going to use it. I really hope Theo Chronicles of Riddick. Right.
I actually really like that pick, to be honest with you.
That guy has been a thorn in the side of just ask any MSU fan or Michigan fan. He's sneaky good, and I really like the pick.
Yeah, my old man went to Notre Dame, Notre Dame fan, so obviously I had to eat a little bit of crow this year without Notre Dame played. But I know a lot about Theo Riddick just from watching a game or two with him. Very good pass-catching back. I know they got drafted as a wide receiver, but he spent most of his time in the backfield last year, specifically with Notre Dame. I think he got recruited as a wide receiver. Type of guy who can be brought in on different packages. He can catch some passes out of the backfield, line up in the slot. Good speed, good hands. If he does end up making the team, because again, he was a very late round pick, there's no guarantee he will. If he does, though, you could see a 7th round pick? A 7th round pick actually getting some time in the Lions offense. It's with this type of offense that we have, that's definitely going to be pass first. Can't have enough pass catchers.
Right. And I think that was 6th round. 7th round, we have the tight end from Alabama, Michael Williams.
Yes.
And then we also get a linebacker from Florida A&M, Kwame Kilpatrick's old university, the biochemist, forgetting his name, but it was nice to see the linebacker position addressed in some shape or form, just because I don't think by any means it's really a strength.
Right. It's now, how much can you actually label it as being addressed with a late round pick like that? And it's probably not. But even if you're just tossing a kid,
throwing something at him.
Exactly, toss a kid on practice squad, see if he can play. Maybe he's a special teamer or something like that. You can only address so many things in a draft. I like the aggressiveness with the outside of the defensive line, because I think that the only thing that's going to make our secondary worth anything is if we're able to get to the quarterback. We've had trouble with that before we lost Van den Bosch and Averill. So we had to address it hard, and I think they did just that. So.
And a blocking tight end to back up Pettigrew, and maybe eventually to be developed to take over Pettigrew's spot. But maybe I'm a little too hopeful.
You really want to we're going to discredit Scheffler that quickly? Best end zone dances in the league.
Scheffler's nice, but he's this close to being a journeyman and ending up on a bunch of one-year deals. He's getting up there.
He is a journeyman. He just happened to stick around. It's just because you stuck with the Lions for a few years doesn't mean you're not still a journeyman.
Right.
Yes.
But as far as I really like the pick, and obviously a hard SEC slant. I'm no college football elitist, and I get tired of the SEC being jammed down our throat. But as a struggling Lions fan, I welcome it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's one of those. As a Big Ten fan, you do get sick of hearing about how good the SEC is. But if I'm correct, what was it? 4 Alabama linemen went in the first round or something like that, and Barrett Jones, the one who got the most pub throughout the college season, ended up going in the 4th.
One of your favorites, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was a guy I was hoping to get in the 2nd round. I'm surprised he dropped all the way in the 4th.
And a lot of these guys have to take pay cuts though when getting drafted now.
You see what he did there? This guy, he'll be here all week.
Try the deal. But as you were saying, though, I mean, and for those who don't think Ziggy is the answer, if you will, I think it has to do with the BYU level of competition. They're not even in the Mountain West anymore, and it's almost a step down being independent, playing the people in and out that they get. They don't get the big names, every week. Not that the Mountain West is much better, but again, though, kind of assuaging the fears. You have a strong SEC connection with most of the draft following that, and obviously Notre Dame speaks for itself with Riddick. So, all in all, I'm pretty happy, and it's kind of a weird way to feel.
Yes, exactly. It's to not be able to poke too many holes outside of the question marks with who was available that was taken. The one thing to keep in mind about Ansah, is he unproven? Yes. Does anyone on earth think it was a reach to take him at 5? Not anyone who was actually paying attention to who was available. Sure, you can criticize the pick. There are a lot of other teams that at 5 would have taken the exact same player. I'm not saying this is in Darko Milicic territory in terms of defending a pick, which you could do on another day. But that being said, Ansah I liked. The guard I think is my favorite pick, but Slay and Taylor I liked as well. Their top 4 picks specifically before they lost their mind with the punter. First 4 picks, which is the most important picks of your draft, I'm quite happy with, to be honest.
And it's interesting, one pick later you have Marquez Mingo. And some people may debate it, but I'm more comfortable with a guy playing in a lesser conference, you know what I mean, non-SEC, with as much or more potential, who's flashed less only because he's been on the field less, as opposed to a guy who we've seen more snaps from and who has the same kind of athletic ability, but has kind of done less with it.
Yes, it's
and I'm more. We've seen. I think there's more better days coming for Ansah than potentially Mingo.
I'm trying to think of the correct way to word this. It seems like to me, Mingo has more of an opportunity to underachieve, whereas Ansah has more of the possibility of just completely flaming out and not being able to play. I think that Mingo, I don't know, he could be a pro longer and sustain a career. But if Ansah hits, he's going to hit. That's the thing. If he turns out to be, this multi-year Pro Bowler, be a Jason Pierre-Paul, he's got more upside and a sharper downside than Mingo. I'll take the guy with a higher upside, I think.
And there you have it. Let us know what you guys think. And hey, it's a Lion fan Super Bowl, the draft. Gotta love it. And only 363 more days before we get to see if Martin Mayhew's back to defend the pick.
Yes.
So we'll see you guys later.